Attacks, East Tennessee found a way to help the people of New York. East Tennesseans collected money for a fire truck to replace one of the dozens destroyed in the response to 9/11.
WBIR 10 News reporter Yvonne Thomas has a look at the Freedom Engine exhibit in downtown Knoxville.
The Freedom Engine is one of our ways that connects East Tennessee to New York City, and it was a beautiful gift in which we honored those victims and the fallen officers of the 9/11 attacks.
Important to remember 9/11 and the East Tennessee's role in the Freedom Engine for many reasons. First, the relationships it built between East Tennessee and New York City. Also, I think it reminds us as East Tennesseans who we are, and it reminds us that, to be giving and to think of others and to help others.
It was East Tennessee's tribute gift to New York City. In 2002, East Tennessee raised about $1 million to buy an East Harlem fire station, a new truck. And the truck was put to good use, making more than 4,000 runs each year. And after 10 years of service, the Freedom Engine is now out of commission, but parts of that truck are on display at the East Tennessee History Center, including the truck's companion door. To learn more about that project and how it made a difference in the lives of those in New York City, you can feel free to visit the exhibit down here on South Gay Street. For now, back to you.
And the display will run through September 30th. You can check out the hours and admission prices on our website, WBIR.com.
And right now on our WBIR Facebook page, many of you remembering where you were when you heard the news about the attacks. Debbie says she was in Paris, France. Terrifying being out of the country and unable to come home for several days. Anita says she was working at Hardin Valley Elementary. Nobody spoke until we could remove ourselves from the kids. Ian says he was at Alcoa Elementary School and his 10-year-old self had no idea how bad it really was. All right, we turn now to the rest of today's headlines.